What is at the other end? What is at the other end is the clarity, is the inner peace. How do we get that inner peace? Well, for me, and the way that I share my work and my teachings is that through all the muck, through all the ego, through all the confusion, we want to find our higher self. What is the higher self, you ask? Well, I talk about it on many shows and many videos that you can go into more detail if you want to go more into this particular topic. But the higher self, to put it short and sweet, is the part of us that is eternal. It is the part of us that is our authentic self, that is connected to source consciousness, to God, to Goddess, to Jesus, to Buddha, whoever it is that you label as your deity. It is the eternal self. It's your intuition. It's your psychic ability. It's the real you without the constraints of your history, of your life trauma, without the constraints of who you think you are, without the constraints of society's programming and peer pressure. It is the authentic you. It is the happy you, the loving you, the aware you of what you want with your life and what did you want to be when you grow up. You know, that whole, my whole life ahead of me, I can do whatever I want self is there in your higher self. So our goal through all of this is to align with our higher self. How do we get there? It can be a process for many. I believe that we must understand what the higher self is and try to start acknowledging the tendencies of our higher self when we have it, when we're being intuitive, when we're getting a glimpse of clarity. Start identifying the way the higher self, I don't want to say reacts, but the characteristics of the higher self within you. It might be different for you. It might be different for Triva. It might be different for me. Our higher selves have their own quote unquote ways of getting through the muck to us. So we begin to listen. For me, I found that meditation is key. And again, cliche, but truth. Don't wait, meditate. There's no excuse. The goal of this is to get to the place between the thoughts. The goal is to get between the chatter and become more aware of the cycles of thoughts, how this thought will crest. It will rise up and the thought gets weaker and then it disappears into the abyss. And then a new thought comes up, it will crest and then comes down and disappear into the abyss. Acknowledging it's only a thought. Acknowledging and having the courage to say, you are not your thoughts. Acknowledging and taking responsibility for the thought. You allowed it to crest. No one's forcing you to think anything. No one forces you to feel happy or sad. Or do you blame people when you're happy? Do you blame people when you're joyful? Do you blame people when you're feeling blissful? Then we must stop blaming people when we are angry, when we are sad, when we are fearful. Begin to take responsibility for your thoughts. And we do this through meditation. It's very easy. Meditation is a lot less complicated than people think it is. We must take the time, even if it's 5 minutes a day, to close our eyes, take a few deep breaths in through our nose. Heck, count your breath. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 breaths. That's all you got to do. Inhale, exhale 1. Inhale, exhale 2. Inhale, exhale 3. Do that up to 10 once a day. And immediately your clarity, your mindfulness, and your consciousness will begin to change. There's no excuse. There really is no excuse other than apathy and laziness or giving into the ego. And the ego's like, oh, this isn't important. But that's not the authentic self. We want to get past the ego. We want to get past the old hurts, the old cycles of self mental abuse. Find your authentic self, find the courage, and move forward. For some of us, it is about becoming more of an activist. For some of us, it is only about meditation and yoga and being a good person on the inside. But I am one that believes that eventually, no matter how self-absorbed, quote unquote, we are, that if we are truly spiritual, if we are truly aligning with our higher consciousness, if we are truly aligning with the higher self, that self is connected to source, and source connected with everything. Therefore, we are connected with everyone and everything. And if that is true and we begin to see it clearly, we can't help but feel a responsibility toward society, toward the planet, toward the ecology, toward ending war, toward ending corporate greed, toward changing and making the world into a much more unified and clear, conscious, aware being, a clear, conscious, aware society. For me, what nudged me in the direction of activism was ecology. I don't know how many of you remember back in the, well, I'm giving away my age here. Back in the 70s and 80s, there was that commercial with the Native American man. He would, I think it was like on his canoe, and he just kept going through all the garbage, and he was standing on the side of the river or whatnot. And you just see that one tear going down the side of his cheek. That was a very profound advertisement for me. I don't even remember what it was for. I'm sure it was a Save the Earth campaign or something. But that really stuck with me, and that really resonated with me. And, as a kid, I loved to be outside. I liked to go to the park. I used to be a big tree climber. I loved to climb trees. I think I did it till I was like in my 20s. I loved it. And being outside in nature and seeing garbage thrown around, seeing, beer bottles or beer cans at the base of a tree, or, just, gum wrappers all over the street. And I remember seeing people throw out bags, like full bags of McDonald's garbage out the side of their car. This was back before they started fining people for polluting while they were driving. Anyway, that really affected me. That was what nudged me into activism, what nudged me into the part of my life I call sacred activism. I love the planet, I love the earth, and I want us to be able to live on it. And with that came the need to help protect it, to help clean it, to help. And once we start learning about why there is so much pollution, why there is so much, garbage in the landfills, why is the water poisoned, why are the rivers poisoned, why are the fish dying in the ocean, why is the air getting harder to breathe, the smog, all of this, we start following the money, we follow the trail, and when we follow the trail, we see it ends in corporate greed. So that led me to the next phase of my activism, which is, I guess, social economic justice. Led me into that, got me very involved recently, back in 2011, the Occupy movement. Now trying to work a little bit with the progressives, and just trying to create balance and at least bring awareness to the fact that greed does kill. Greed kills in the pharmaceutical industry. Greed kills in corporate agribusiness. Greed kills in pollution. Greed kills. And I'm about life. And that's what we must align ourselves with, is creation, not destruction, with love, not hate, with understanding and compassion, not division and, national or religious bigotry or whatever it may be. Again, following that line, following that vibe, following that wave from caring for the earth to, wanting to fight against corporate greed led me to the whole concept of we are one human family. And when we realize we are one human family and we must take care of one another, we start to understand that there is no room for division. I mean, yeah, in your family, don't you fight? In your family, don't you dislike your brother, your cousin, your uncle? I mean, every once in a while, we don't like some people, and we don't need to be around them. We don't need to like everyone. We just need to understand that we are all connected, that we are one human family. Families fight, families disagree. But when it comes down to it, we are always there for family at the end, no questions asked, unconditionally. And we must learn to do that with our lives and our friends.